right. All right, all right. How y'all doing? How you doing? Happy New Year. Happy New Year to everybody. Hope you are having a great Tuesday. I know that I am. It's Talk It Out Tuesday with Tori and MsTonya. You know what it's like when we get on here and we've got things that we need to talk about. We get in here and we talk about them, right? So that's what we did in 2023. So I don't see any reason for us to change that now. We're going to keep doing that right on into 2024 because when we have conversations, we get an opportunity to understand things from a different point of view, get outside of our own heads, and not saying that, listening to another person's opinion that they're right about something, but it just gives us a different point of view. You dig? All right. Happy New Year, good people. Happy, happy, happy New Year. Before we get started, I want to let you know that today's topic is college a waste? Is college a waste? I don't know if you guys know that, but statistics are showing that college enrollment to four-year universities, four-year degrees is on the decline. So we need to talk about that. We need to figure out if there are different ways to advance in life. Are there? Let's get in here and have a conversation and figure out what we're going to tell our young people and how we're going to guide them into their future. We need to know, right? All right, guys. All right. We're going to get it going. And before we get it going, we're going to do a little bit of breath work. But you're watching the Noontime My Time podcast. Yes, you are. This is a podcast where we breathe. We have conversations. We're in here. We're loving life. We're going to talk because we got things to talk about. Welcome. Is college a waste? Is college a waste? You've got to decide that for yourself. And a lot of young people are out here. They're making that decision right now. They really are. Let's get into this breath work, guys. What I want you to do is inhale to the count of 4. And we're going to hold it for a few seconds. And then we're going to exhale. And we'll hold that for a few seconds. And we'll repeat that a few times. Now, you can close your eyes if you're in a place that you can do that. I don't want you to do that if you're driving. Don't do that if you're driving. Don't do that if you're actually sitting at the desk. If you got your headpods on and you're taking a listen, we'll vibrate with us and listen. But if you can close your eyes, close your eyes. You want to take it a step further, put your hands over your heart and feel that you are alive. That's you. Let's get into it. Inhale to the count of 4. Hold that a few seconds. Exhale. Hold that a few seconds. Inhale again. Hold that a few seconds. Exhale. One more time. Let's inhale. Hold it a few seconds. And exhale. Yeah. Doesn't that feel great? Feels real, real good. Feels better than great. I'm actually grateful. I hope while you took this time to meditate, you took this time to do this little bit of breath work, I hope you could feel grateful. I'm grateful to be here. There are people who are not celebrating with us in this new year. And let's give our condolences to all of those families who did not usher in the year with people that they love. But we made it here. We did. And there's things that we need to talk about. There's things going on in and around us all the time. I don't know if you guys are still watching the news. I know I don't watch very much of it. I read some of it online. I hear what's going on in these internet streets. It's a whole lot. and it's Talk It Out Tuesday. Talk It Out Tuesday with Tori and MsTonya. You know what we do here? We get together for some real conversations, everything under the sun. We just have an open and an honest, a candid conversation. We're not afraid to dive deep, and we're not afraid to get a little petty sometimes. A little bit, just a little bit. Because there's some things that we just need to talk out. But the question that we're asking today is college a waste? Is it a waste of time? Why are so many young people deciding not to go for those 4-year degrees? Why are they doing that? I don't know. I'm going to bring Tori into here, and we're going to figure it out. We got to figure it out. Tori, Happy New Year, Tori. Tori, how you feeling?
Happy New Year. I haven't spoken to you since last year, girl. Happy New Year. Happy New Year to everybody out there listening. I missed you guys last week. Of course, last week I was battling the flu. So I took some of the remedies that you guys suggested on the show with Tanya last week. I started juicing a little bit and I feel so much better this week. And I've done built my immune system back up. So the flu ain't gonna do me dirty no more.
It ain't gonna do you like that again. What you say? You done built it back up.
What?
Okay. Getting them vitamins in, getting them supplements in.
Yes, sir, buddy. Listen, Kader started the trend. Like he got sick first, and he was much sicker than me,
Mhm.
and he actually ended up getting better before I did. So I'm like, really? But you know, them young folks, they'll bounce back sometimes. So when he started feeling better, I still was struggling. But we back. We back now.
Well, good. I'm
Yeah.
so happy to have you back. 2023 just kind of flew by to me. I don't know how you felt about it, but 2023 felt like a week.
It did. I promise you. I'm like, what? 2023 is gone? What?
It's over.
I was like, wow. Then the reality hit me 2024 because, you know, my son is graduating class of 2024. So I was like, oh my God, my son is about to be graduating in a few months. Oh my God.
Wow. If
So
you
I'm
don't,
excited.
yeah, I was just about to say, if you do not enjoy every moment, I promise you, it'll just pass you
Mhm.
right on by. You have
Yeah,
to.
yeah,
You have to.
yeah.
Well, you see what we're talking about today. You see,
Yes,
right?
indeed. I
Yeah.
do.
Trying to figure out if college is a waste. Like a lot of young people, they're actually not enrolling in college as much as previous years. I ran across an article, and in fact, I'll let me pull it up. Okay, so here we have here, according to uh, the Pew Research Center, is saying that fewer young men are in college, especially 4-year schools. And I found that very surprising. And I was like, you know what? I want to talk about that early in the year. I feel like that's, we can start out talking about that because it seems like people are figuring some different things out. And I just wanted to know, like, okay, well, has this been a top of the conversation for people? All right. So I'm going to read a little bit of the article. It said college enrollment among young Americans have been declining gradually over the past decade. In 2022, the total number of 18 to 24-year-olds enrolled in college was down by approximately 1.2 million from its peak in 2011. Most of the decline is due to fewer young men pursuing college. About 1 million fewer young men were in college, but only zero point 0.2 fewer young women. As a result, men make up 44% of young college students today, down 47% in 2011, according to newly released US Census Bureau data. So, my thought is like kind of looking at that time frame, I'm trying to figure out if COVID and the pandemic years has something to do with that, because we had a span right there where people were rethinking school and then they weren't in school. So, what is your thought?
Well, a couple of people that I've spoken with, school is college is different. Actually, the world is different from when we came up. Like, you know, When I was in college, I was able to walk the streets at late at night, which something I should not have done. But I was able to walk the streets late at night and not worry about being harmed. But some of the college students that I spoke to that are probably sophomore, one is a sophomore, one is a freshman, and they were explaining to me that they don't like some of the campuses they're on, they don't feel as safe. And then one of them, a concern was the COVID as well. They were still concerned about that. And then I heard about the bullying on college campus, and I was like, they bully on college campuses?
Hmm.
So those are some of the things that I'm hearing from some of the young people. The bullying, there's still some concerns about COVID and other illnesses, and of course, the flu has been oh my God, the flu has been really bad this flu season. Because, like I said, I typically never get the flu. So
Mhm.
when I got it, I was like, what? So that was some of the main concern, the bullying, and then there are some that prefer to just do it online, not go to the campuses at all, just do everything online and
Well,
just go. Yeah, that was an option too.
yeah, I hear what you're saying, and you're talking about some of the things that you are hearing from students who it sounds like they're enrolled in college. They're
Yes.
talking about some of the differences. But
Yes.
this particular article here
Hmm.
is really talking about young people who are not enrolling. And I found that very interesting. You know what I'm saying? Because,
Hmm.
the article goes on to say it says that the shift is driven entirely by the falling share of men who are students at four-year colleges. Today, men represent only 42% of students ages 18 to 24 at four-year
Hmm.
schools, and that's down 47% from 2011. Now, at two-year colleges, which is largely community colleges, the drop of enrollment has been similar for men and women. So the gender balance has not really changed much there. Men represent 49% of students ages 18 to 24, up slightly from 48% in 2011. So it sounds like with community college and the 2-year getting associates, it sounds like that just went up just a micro level, just very slightly. And
Hmm.
the like I said, the article just goes on here to say I really wish people would have conversations with their young people about this and let's try to figure this out because we need to figure out how we're going to guide them. But it says here that the drop has been greater among, the young men. And
Hmm.
today, only 39% of young men who have completed high school are enrolled in college.
Hmm.
That's a lot.
And I will say this by me, like I said, I have a senior, and some of his peers, mostly as far as I see, most of the young ladies, his peers are looking forward to college, but I do see the decline in the male peers because there are some that don't want to go to college at all. They want to take a trade. They are some that are choosing to go into the military, and there was one of the young men in particular. I was like, "You going?" He wants to go to the military, and he actually did great with football. So I was thinking that he may get a scholarship and may possibly go to college. But he's like, "No, I want to go to the military." So I was like, "Wow." So
But
yeah.
you know what?
Hmm.
When we were coming up, that definitely was an option. It's like, there were a couple of different things. It's like you either went to school, you
Hmm.
went to the military, or
Hmm.
you had to you had to get a good job. That's what they used to tell us. One of those jobs that, had benefits and all of those type things. We heard that. So we knew we had three choices. And
Hmm.
there wasn't a fourth, like, you couldn't stay at home. It was like, you're going to college, you're going to the military, or you're getting out here and you're getting a good job,
Right.
right? So, I
Right.
mean, and also when I was coming up, I don't know about yourself, but there's some things that if I knew what I know now, I probably would have went, some different routes, but I didn't even consider my community college. Like, it wasn't even on my radar at all. And now I think that's, like, probably one of the smarter things to do, to be honest. If you think about You have the opportunity to get that first 2 years of those core classes that you're gonna get at a 4-year university anyway at a much
Mm-hmm.
lower cost, which is automatically going to, that's gonna be beneficial for you because, I mean, exactly what it says, it's at a lower cost. So, you're talking about if you're one of those students who happen to have to, get student loans, that's gonna put you in a better position. You don't have to take loans out because typically going to your community college, whatever funding is available, you'll probably be able to handle that. You know what I mean? So it's just a
Right.
great idea. And so if you think about that, you finish those 2 years, you transfer to a 4-year college, and then you don't have to take out you don't end up with that 4-year degree and a whole uh burden of debt. So I just really think that's a great idea. Um, I see we got some
Absolutely.
people in the comments already.
Okay.
I don't know if you can
I
see the comments. You need me to read them or
yeah.
what?
Okay. I'm gonna try. Les Eccles says different generation black men getting a high level job with no degree in 1999 and 2023 is completely different. Expectations and requirements have been dropped or removed.
Hmm. You know, he's right. He
Mm-hmm.
is right. He said different generation black men getting high level jobs with no degrees in 1999 and are completely different. Now, also, I think, I saw something on the radar here, and I've got to do a bit more research on it, and I feel like it'll be a good conversation to have as well. But they're also saying that a lot of jobs are beginning to not require bachelor's degrees,
Mm-hmm. That
you
is
know.
true.
And I don't think that's what is that what he's talking about?
That's probably so it can go either way, but it's
Yeah.
different. It's different from when we were coming up because that was the ticket for
Mm,
us when we were coming up the college degree,
yeah, you
and
had to
like
have
some
it.
of the yeah, and some of those jobs back then that I applied to, like around that time frame, like 99, what Les is saying, that's the time when I was getting out of school. I graduated in 2000,
Mhm.
and around that time, a lot of the jobs that I wanted to get they require like an internship or some type of college degree or some type of experience. And one of the things I do want to point out, like I said, my son is a senior. When he graduates high school, he's already taken he started taking a tech course. So when he graduates high school, he's actually going to have a high school diploma and he's already going to have an associate's degree.
Mhm.
So some of the experience that they're getting with the tech schools, they are preparing the kids now that they are job ready once they leave high school. So it's totally up to them if they want to do anything further. But some of the associate's degrees, they can go straight into the workforce and get some top level pay based on what their degree is in.
Right. Right, 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 right.
So I'm loving that.
Is college a waste? That is the question. That's the question. Um, I don't think that it is, but it
I don't think
certainly
so either.
yeah, I don't think that it is depending upon what you wanna do. But there certainly are different ways that you can go about advancing your career. And if you think about it too, like, how you were saying, like, we had to have or if you wanted what they call a good job, you
Hmm.
had to have a bachelor's degree. And to be honest, for some time, and I don't know, we'll have to wait and see what this shift and change is as it relates to, places out here saying they're going to waiver having to have bachelor's degrees because to be honest, within the past, I wanna say, and I could be a little off on the timing, but within the past 15 to, 10, 15 years, I've noticed that those jobs that you had to have a bachelor's degree for, they want you to have a master's degree. So, it
Hmm.
went from, you having a high school diploma being a very good thing, you were gonna be able to be employable. That was great. If somebody had a high school diploma, okay, well, you can write a ticket. And then if you got your bachelor's degree, oh man, you've done something amazing. But I don't know. It keeps, it keeps moving. Now all of a sudden, they want you to have a master's degree. And I've seen some jobs that require a master's degree, and I'm trying to figure out, like, why are they asking these young people or expecting these young people to have a master's degree? And not only that, but the pay rate is not matching it. So I need somebody to help me understand. I need somebody to help us make this thing make sense. I see Brother Fatim in here. He said, this is a long answer, but some reasons why you are seeing the drop off of males attending college. He goes on to say the decrease in the number of males attending college today compared to 2011 can be attributed to several factors: economic factors, rising tuition costs. The cost of college education has steadily increased over the years, making it less affordable for many individuals and their families. Males may be more likely to opt out of college due to financial concerns, student loan debt. The burden of student loan debt has also discouraged some individuals from pursuing higher education. And every point that you've hit here, Brother Fatim, is absolutely right. You know, the cost of tuition. Why has the education not improved? But the cost of that education has skyrocketed. No one can really help me understand that. If someone knows, I would really like to know. I would. Also, student loan debt. Student loan debt. People are trying to better their lives. Get out here. They tell you to get an education, do what you have to do to advance yourself. But immediately after you graduate, after you get that degree, you've got 6 months and you've got to immediately start paying that money back. And a lot of young people haven't been able to find employment or gainful employment. And so that puts them in a very stressful situation, and they're still really young. So it's bad. It really is. So you're right. I can understand why a lot of young people, and specifically young men, might think about, I'm not going to burden myself down with these loans, and their families can't afford it. I see Les Eccles here. He said, I went to tech in high school, but many kids not trying to be plumbers and mechanics either. We can push it all we want. Well, guess what? You're absolutely right, but I still feel like it should be pushed. And the reason why I say that is because when you think about a lot of the trades, these are all things that we need. We need plumbers. We need mechanics. We need welders, HVAC. We need all of that. And you got to think about, if they gain this skill, they gain these, they learn this trade, and they have just an ounce of an entrepreneur spirit. There's so many things that they can do. That is writing your own ticket. We've got to stop making it seem like you've got to be sitting behind a desk. Like sitting behind a desk is the best job to have. And it absolutely isn't. That is why I feel like a lot of young people are not responding to trades, are not going to trade schools, or not learning, technical things, doing things with their hands. What's wrong with that? And not just young men, young women too. Electricians, plumbers, mechanics. What's wrong with that? Why are we not allowing our young people to know that sitting behind a desk does not mean whatever it is that we've built it up to mean? You're definitely a lot of people are sitting behind desks and they're not making the type of money that an electrician is making, or a plumber, or a mechanic at all. So we need to be honest about that. Let's be honest. I don't know. What is your thought, Tori?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, my mic. I couldn't unmute my mic for a second. Listen,
Fix your camera.
Oh, wait a minute.
There you go.
Oh, Lord, I was on the camera.
Well, listen, I'm running. Nobody didn't see.
Oh.
I got your back.
I'm glad you. Listen, I got a lot going on there. I had to make some checks right quick. I didn't realize I knocked the camera off. But anyway, I was looking at the comments that you was reading with Les and Fatine, and I know that was some of the concerns as well with the that was another concern that I completely forgot about. Some were concerned with the financial part, because I know some of the kids that are choosing to go into the military, they didn't want, because you know how sometimes you can actually, because I know that was an option when I was coming in college, to where the parent can take out a loan, the student can take out a loan, but you can also, the parent can take out a loan as well. And some of the kids don't want that burden on themselves or the parent. So that
Right.
was one of the things as well. And then there were some male students that I also noticed that, like you said, the technical, they go to the technical, go into Florence Arlington Tech school first, and
Mhm.
then transfer to a 4-year college. But for the most part, like I said, from what I've noticing from my son's peers, it's mostly the the females that are going to college, and the males are not. Some of them have no interest in college whatsoever.
Right.
You know,
I I hear,
no interest whatsoever.
but I hear you, and like I agree with what Les said too. You wanted to talk about these comments, but in Les's comment, he's talking about um like a lot of kids are not trying to be plumbers, they're not trying to be mechanics, and he says that we can push it all we want.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not disagreeing with him at all. But I feel like largely that is because we've made everybody feel like you've gotta have a job sitting behind a desk, like that's supposed to be, elite, and it isn't
Mm-hmm.
necessarily. That's what I was asking you, like, what is your thought on that? Like, why 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 are we pushing that agenda, and why can't we change that agenda? Because being able to have a skill to work with your hands, to be able to do something that someone absolutely will need, you will always have some business, because people are gonna need plumbing. People are gonna need electricians. People are gonna need mechanics. Learn construction, you know?
Mm-hmm.
People need stuff done in their homes. Learn to paint. That is a skill. And you really do have that opportunity. Like I said, you couple that with some entrepreneur skills and you can start a business. And not only take care of yourself and your family, but depending on how far you'd like to take it, you're actually helping other people and employing other people as well. We've got to allow people to know that. There's a lot of people sitting behind desks who are working in call centers, answering phones. They don't like it. It's not the most healthy thing to do. They're not,
It's
and
not.
they definitely are not making more money than a plumber or a mechanic. They're not. Someone who works on HVAC, they're not making that type of money. They're not. A lot of people are
Right.
sitting at desks and it really is minimum wage. And we should be telling them that truth. Just because you're going to work in a button down shirt and you've got to press your pants, that does not mean your life is better. We need to think about that, and we need to promote that as well. I see Les got another comment.
That's brother for team that you got on there. I
Oh, I'm
can't.
sorry. I'm sorry. Brother Fatim, he says, another thought comes to mind, especially in the Black community. Are we collectively pushing young men towards Black excellence through education? Or do we have a lot of our young folks motivated for fast money through rapping and of sports careers? Woo!
Ooh, that's a good one. That's
It's true.
good. That's
It's true.
good. But a lot of them are, there are some that are going to school for the sports part. Now I
Well,
don't
yeah,
see too many
yeah.
about the rapping. I don't see too many doing the rapping, but I do see the
We do
sports
out and
career.
we see it largely. I feel like he's saying, like, largely,
Yeah,
not necessarily, like, within our immediate vicinity, but largely out there. You know,
yeah.
young people are fascinated with fast money. And I think it has a as well, what we could also add to that is this content creation space. We got a lot of people who feel like they can get a camera, they can get a mic, and they can get on, get on YouTube and feel like they can be content creators, and that's a way that they can make fast money. And it's not true.
Mm-mm.
It's not true. Now, the sports guys, there's so much to that because there's so much discipline that it takes. There's so much discipline you have to be to reach that level of excellence to make it to those next levels. So there is that, but largely the athletes, they're going to college because that's the next step. That's where they're going to get recognized to take it to the next level of the pros. So we can say that that's there, but I still agree. We do need to push them towards Black excellence, and educating yourself is definitely excellence.
Right. And less is, I think it depends on where you were raised. The less you had, the more you want to be a rapper athlete to get out of the hood.
Right,
Mm, that's
right.
true.
It did look like the fast way. It did,
Yeah, yeah,
and there were times. I mean, in the streets, called a lot of folks, a lot of young men in the 90s. Took them to the other side. That's how we got a lot of young men who were in the drug game. Out here
right,
doing that because that was a way for them to make fast money, to make money every day, to have money in their pocket.
right, right. Oh my God, yes. Because I met a lot of those when I was in college. It was like, oh, you in school? And nah, I ain't doing that school thing. They like that fast money. And matter of fact, all those guys that I met that was into that life, I think all of them are in prison now. So it just, yeah, they love
Well,
that fast money.
well,
So
listen. I mean, there's only a couple ways out of that thing. you know,
yeah.
your life or
Mm-hmm.
prison.
Right, right, right.
So you got to think about that. But I don't know. We've got to push the agenda and let them know that yes, there's nothing wrong with a trade. And I also feel like it for women too. I tell you something really a very interesting story. I was well, not so much of a story, but very interesting. I was out here just driving, minding my business, and I saw this 18 wheeler get ready to make this turn. And you know how sometimes these 18 wheelers, they don't wheel and deal in town the best way that they can.
Mm-mm.
They turn it all in your lane and all kind of stuff, right?
Right.
But this particular truck, I mean, this truck was driving, and I'm saying wheeling, a good driver, wheeling and dealing. I look up, and girl, it was a woman behind the wheel. I
Oh
was like,
wow.
girl, if you don't do your thing, like a woman
Mm.
truck driver. So some of these things that we typically feel like are dominated by men, women can get in here too. So I don't want our young men to think that we're just trying to push them to be plumbers and push them to be mechanics. Well, women can do that too,
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like that's really fly. So, and truck driving, that's another thing. That's something that is something that is going to be needed as well. We live in America, and we've got to have goods shipped across this country. So that's something that they can do, and that is a career. If you like driving, look into it. Look into that. I just found it.
Right.
I just found it to be an interesting conversation because I really had no idea that the enrollment for college had dipped so much, and particularly for men, and not just of course the numbers dip a little bit more as it relates to our culture, as it relates to Black people. But I found it very interesting to see that young white males were not going to college as much, and I think maybe and I think it'll take a couple more years out for us to really get a closer look at it, but I think maybe the pandemic had a lot to do with that because it just exposed so much. It just exposed, like we continue to say, like, why does college cost this much? We don't have to be in these classrooms. We can rethink the way we want to be educated, and I feel like they're looking at that. And
Mm.
and as the stories come out, as we get into this year, that many jobs are going to stop requiring degrees. I want to see what that looks like.
Right, right.
I really want to see what that looks like because if you go online right now and you look at some of these higher level positions and jobs that they're requiring masters for, and then you look at the salary that they're offering for a master's degree, it does not make sense. You know how much money a lot of students are spending and how much debt they're getting into to get a master's degree, and then you're insulting them with like a $50,000-$60,000 salary. It doesn't make any
Mm,
sense.
yeah.
It doesn't make any sense. If you can't secure a job that is paying you more than your student loan debt, I don't know. And I mean, I know that's not the math that everyone uses. That I'm just speaking for myself. I'm just speaking off the top of my head. I just don't know if that makes sense to me. I certainly don't know that that's something that I would be willing to do.
Mm-mm. Some of
I
the
don't.
jobs that I saw online, I'm like, you need a master's to do that?
Exactly. Some of the
For
things that you
what?
need master's degrees for, I
Yeah.
cannot understand why they need a master's for. I just don't. I wish I'd pull some of them so that we could actually talk about those jobs. But you all know what I'm talking about. It makes
Yeah.
no sense.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
It doesn't.
Mm. Not at all. I got when you asked me the question earlier, my bad, I got distracted because that's why I didn't answer the question properly. But I'm just listening to you speak, and I agree with what you're saying. And I was reading through the comments as well. And Les says many jobs that require masters and don't pay are state and government jobs where Black people are already overrepresented. Hold on.
Mhm.
Overrepresented. We tend to not even look at the private sector. I agree.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I know they feel like, Black people are represented in those in government jobs, but, I don't know, Les. Why is that? I mean, I don't get it. I really don't get it.
And then I know when I was coming along, I don't feel like I was properly educated on the options
Mhm.
as opposed to just the college thing. Like the
Well
other options as far as, everything else that we're discussing. I wasn't, because if I'm looking back now, if I knew more information or had more resources back then with certain information, I probably would not have went to college.
because I mean, the math is not mathing.
Mm-mm.
It's not
No.
mathing. Like, that's why I was so excited for, uh, like, some of the student loan adjustments and forgiveness and the way that they're restructuring the payback. Like, that has been a good thing that this particular, government has done because
Yes.
young people needed that. Young people were really being ripped off. Let's be honest. And a lot of the people that they ended up forgiving their student loans, the people that paid it back already, why those interest rates had just gotten so out of hand. And I just really like what this government has done and how they are restructuring student loan and student loan forgiveness. We need it. For all of those people who fought it, I mean, it's unfortunate that they can't see the trap that many people were caught in, but
Right.
we know why that is. We know what
Yes.
it is. They didn't want a certain culture of people to have that, lifted that burden lifted up off of them. I see
Right.
last year he says,
He said,
"We
"We
black
black folk." Oh, go ahead. We
we
black
black."
folk tend to. We
Go
both
ahead.
trying to. Okay, we black folk tend to go into social work and or human services, not law, medicine, etc. We'll be CNAs and paralegals, and not go to nursing or law school.
Mhm,
And I
mhm.
actually know of two people now that are actually in nursing school And then I have a young person I know that they're currently in a 4-year college, but they plan to pursue a career in law as well. And let's actually, and then I remember when I was coming up, I was actually, my family wanted me to be an attorney. But let me tell you this, I was going to pursue law and I had an interest in law. But when I got to college and I started doing those criminal justice classes and court cases, I was like, oh no, this is not for me. And then there are some cases when it comes to law where sometimes you feel like the attorney, because to win a case, sometimes you may have to, and I don't want to offend no lawyers, but sometimes you may have to bend the truth a little bit to win the case. That's how I was looking at certain things. So
Mhm.
yeah. So, but he's right with what he's saying. He's so right. And
Right.
and he's also said, I'm just saying that to say we get low paying state government clinical jobs. I can't answer the why. We understand.
I
We
got you.
appreciate your answer. Yeah.
Yeah, but I want to, yeah, and let me just talk a little bit more about what he said as it relates to you know, you have people who will tend to go into become CNAs or paralegals and not pursue and go to nursing or law school. And he says something here, but I also want to say that it's still very important that we have CNAs. It's still very important that we have paralegals. What I do think is, why are we not paying CNAs better? Why are we not paying paralegals better? Those are some things, and I don't mean that they should be paid to, they shouldn't be paid like a nurse, obviously, like a lawyer, obviously. I'm just talking about living wages. Living wages, being able to take care of yourself without the burden, the stress of wondering how you're gonna feed your kids after you paid your light bills and your cost of living bills. That's not a whole lot to ask, and many of these people who are CNAs and who are paralegals, they don't have an opportunity to do that. So we
And you
we
know what? And I'm glad you said that because I was actually offered a this was probably a couple of years ago, but I was actually offered a job, CNA job, but it was more so where it was like you had to stay, it was kind of like one of those sitting jobs,
Mhm.
but it required me, I had to change the diapers, I had to feed them, I had to give them medication. They also had a pet that I'm terrified of dogs. They had a dog and something else. But they only wanted to pay me like $6 an hour.
Oh, wow.
And I'm like, huh?
Oh, wow.
Mm,
And see, and that's what I'm saying, because when you look at all of the duties that were required, which is helping another person. So people who become CNAs, people who are out here who are being caregivers, because certainly there is a growing population of elderly people. There are people who are disabled, and they do require assistance and care. And we absolutely need to be out here caring for them. And there are, people who do that. But when you consider the amount of care that has to be provided, the amount of time, they make it tough. You're supposed to want to help people. You do. But when you go out here and that is your career or your job, you should be able to feed your family. If you're out here helping someone to eat, obviously because their family members are out here working and they have other things, they can't do it themselves because they've got to take care of their homes and their families. So now you've got a CNA, a caregiver coming in, taking care of them, and they can't even take care of their own families. $6 an hour? We've got to reevaluate how we care about people. And by care about people, I mean we've got to care about the caregivers. Caregivers should be honored. And the very least of that honor, because they're taking care, they're taking care of the people that we love. Why can't we make sure that they can take care of the people that they love and themselves? we've got to figure this thing out. I see Les here. He says, well, some of those questions are regional. Many places in the South don't pay, unfortunately. You're right. We're in the South, so we've got to talk about where we are, you know? And for the people who are in the South who actually take these jobs, who decide to give care to people, I think we need to care for them. I think we do.
Absolutely.
Mhm, mhm. I don't know. Like I say, I'm looking at jobs, and because sometimes, if you go on Indeed and you just scroll through and you see what's available, the math is not mathing.
It is
You
not.
want you you want me to have this degree and you're not paying me.
Mm-mm.
So
No.
what are we telling our young students? Like when we have our kids go to college, like how honest are we being with them? How honest are we being with them about the worth of that degree? I don't know.
I just had this conversation with my son last night. We had that conversation about college, whether he's going to college or not. Then we start negotiating up, talking about other things as far as that was one of the questions he asked me last night. When he want to do certain things, and he said, "Well, what should I charge?" I said, "You have to determine what your worth is." And I said, some things, different things you may not know, just Google and do your research. I said, but never allow anybody to pay you less than what you're worth. And I
Mhm.
said, learn as much as you possibly can. Like you developing some skills, but learn as much as you can. And the more you learn, the more you perfect your craft, of course, that pay gonna go up. And your
Right.
worth is gonna you increase as well. So I told him we just had that conversation
And you
last night.
and 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 you have to think about this too. You have to think about like what your investment is into your craft. Like what
That
equipment you might need for your craft. Because you have
Mhm.
to pay for this, and anything that you want to do, any business that you want to have, so that's craft, business, whatever, you're going to have to make some investment because you're going to need tools to do that.
Right, and then I
So
told
you
him you have to also calculate your time.
absolutely. But that's what working is. That's what in fact that's what getting a job is. You're trading your time for pay.
Mhm.
Because the most valuable thing that you will ever have is your time. And so
Yeah,
that's why you want to make sure that it is worth it to you. You've got to.
right. Yeah.
It's a catch-22 situation. I wonder how many young people who are disappointed with the whole college and degree, whoever is disappointed with that. I wonder what type of exit or what type of conversations did they have with their counselors and advisors as it relates to the realness of what it takes to get a job or secure a job, or like what type of assistance is given to them, because I don't know if a lot of young people get that, because they really come out here with some really unrealistic expectations, and they look at and the unfortunate thing is that a lot of them are looking at other people's lifestyles online. They're seeing people or thinking people or doing more than they are, or the young people who are out here who are the go-getters who've already secured, certain work, and they feel less than. And I don't think it's necessary for them to feel less than. I don't, because at such a young age, just my opinion here, get out here and try some different things. Go out here and fail. I mean, if you haven't failed enough times, there's no way that you're gonna be successful anyway, because that means you haven't really done anything. So you shouldn't be here, rating yourself against someone who might be living a particular highlight of their life, but trust me, everybody's gonna have highlights, everybody's gonna have those, you're gonna have your peaks, you're gonna have your valleys. So, I don't know what that looks like on the exit, and I don't know what conversations parents are having with their young people, but I think we should be having them. You absolutely should be having them, letting them know, like, hey, you get to write this ticket. A job is not getting ready to come and invite you to it. It's not coming to your house. It's not coming to your dorm room, wherever you are. That senior year, if you haven't been applying, if you haven't done internships, well, I think you have some very unrealistic ideals. You do. You're not going to get a job if you're waiting for it to come to you. You have got to get out here and you got to put in that work to get the work. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
You got to put in work to get the work.
And then I
And
also encourage students, like, whatever job, like, I think it's a good thing that the schools also offer where they do night shadowing now. Like, whatever
mhm,
job that you are pursuing after high school,
mhm.
you go to a job to observe if that's what you really want to do and get
Well,
that, not only their hands-on experience.
mhm. Mentorship and apprenticeship are always going to be very, very, very important. I think that's so key. It really, really is. And I feel like a lot of people who are in careers or a lot of people who have trades, I feel like they should always have somebody up under their wing and give them that truth. Let them get in there and get involved with the work because you can figure out if, like you said, I got in some of these classes and I feel like, hey, this is not something I want to do. But if you have a mentor, or you have an apprenticeship, and you get in there and you realize, hey, I don't know if I'm going to necessarily be good at this. I'm not sure that I really like this. Then hey, you got an opportunity to do something different. But also, you might find out that you like it. You just might. Sometimes I feel like taking a job that is not necessarily within your career or is not necessarily within your degree, I don't think there's anything wrong with that because I feel like there's a path to success. And I don't know necessarily that most people even get a job within what their degree specifies. So we have a lot of young people confused in that regard, you know?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because I was a communication major, and luckily for me, I was blessed that I did an internship at the radio station before I got my degree. And but the thing is, with my job profession being in radio, um, even though I got the communications degree, it wasn't even necessary for me to even go for that because back then it all depends on who you knew
Right.
that could get you in the door. But
Right.
I did have that. I did also have a degree as well. I did like an internship that summer. Went back to school, got my degree, and it was like because I told some people like, listen, I'm going to get a degree. When you come back, get your degree, come and show us a degree. And
Mhm.
I've been fortunate and blessed that I was able to get a job in communications. And of course, this podcasting thing is new,
Mhm.
but I've been doing radio 20 plus years, so I've been blessed and fortunate. But like Les was saying, in the South where we in, if I go like other areas, the pay would probably be more. But in the South, the pay is not, but that's no here nor there. But
Right.
yeah, that's the other thing.
You're right, but and for me, I think that's one of the things that I have enjoyed about where we are with technology, particularly
Hmm.
if you are in any type of media, because media has changed so much. The landscape of media is so very different and it continues to change daily. And it's going to be a lot different tomorrow. You know what I mean? So I feel like people who have an idea of the old style of media, that
Hmm.
might be one thing, but people aren't watching TV the same way. People are not
No.
listening to the news the same way. They're not trusted the same way. People are going on here and they're listening and they're listening to their favorite podcasters. That's why now you see all of the personalities try to rush in here and get their own podcast now. There was a time when, to be like, let's talk about entertainment just for a little bit. There was a time when certain entertainers, movie entertainers, they wouldn't do TV because that was like a downgrade for them. right?
Mhm.
And now you've
Mhm.
got these TV personalities who were on TV, they had their shows, and they weren't online podcasting, and creating content for the internet like how a lot of us content creators have been doing for a number of years.
Mhm.
And that would be a downgrade for them. But they're all
Right.
in this space now. I
Right.
mean,
And you know,
it's oversaturated with people who have already had shows and who are quote unquote recognizable personalities, but they're not necessarily doing better than some of the people who just have their own followings.
but you know what I love about, I'm glad you brought up the content creators. You know what I love about content creators is the fact that you own your content. You are in much more control. You can gauge the type of audience, the type of people you want to attract. That's what I love about being a content creator. You're in
Well,
total control.
you're right in some ways. You're right in some ways, but I feel like um there's a bigger conversation here and there's a lot more that you really have to do because as it relates to creating your content, yeah, you have control over creating your content, but you got to think about you're putting it on other people's platforms. So really, they own a lot of your stuff. So you've got to be creative enough and you've got to be smart enough to know where and how to get your content out. Now, for me, a number of years, and a lot of people notice about me locally, like I've done many local shows. I've done this in a time where I wrote and produced the show, I shot the show, edited the show. I've had to invest in it, invest in putting it on television, invest in the promotions of it on television, and it was just a lot. But it also prepared me for where we are now, where I have this opportunity to take advantage of the internet. So, in terms of the work, it's something that I know to do. It's a skill that I have, but also, I understand, um, like as it relates to not overworking myself, developing a team, knowing how and where to put your stuff because there's so many different platforms. So it's a lot, and that, like I said, that's a bigger conversation and a more technical conversation as it relates to content creators. But you still gotta be smart about it. That's basically what I'm trying to say, because we don't own any platforms, and I haven't heard us talking about any platforms that are owned by people like us. I don't even know. Have you ever heard of Fanbase?
I have not.
See? That's Isaac Hayes' um, son. He has a social platform called Fanbase. Look that up. And a lot of us aren't on it. We're
Definitely
not.
gonna be looking that up.
We're not
Definitely.
on it. We're on the ones that, you know, aren't owned by us and that we have made popular, but we aren't
Mhm.
making one by our own popular. I want us to
Mhm.
do that in 2024.
Definitely.
All right, lady, you see what time it is.
Oh, absolutely. Oh my
Mhm.
goodness, time went by fast. Well, happy new year to you and all our listeners and viewers once again. I am so excited and glad to be back. I'm excited what 2024 is going to bring. And make sure you keep us abreast of what's going on, what you guys want to talk about. Make sure you inbox Tanya or myself if there are topics that you guys want us to cover, because you know you guys make the show, so let us know what you want to talk about. Because listen,
Absolutely.
and Brother Fatim says Happy New Year, lady. Happy New Year, Brother Fatim. Happy New Year. But like I said, inbox Tanya or myself, whatever you guys want to talk about. It's all about you guys. We're going to be bigger and better in 2024. I'm super excited about what 2024 is going to bring. But it like Tanya says, I know how Tanya is about time. So let me cut it short. Happy New Year. And I'm out. And I'll see y'all next Tuesday. Peace out.
All right. Always good to talk to Tori. Tori, always good. We were talking about whether or not college was a waste, and I will always say that you just have to figure that out for yourself. What is wasteful to you? How you're going to invest? Because investing in yourself in education is always going to be a good thing. It is. It is. So sit down, talk, do your research, and you can figure it out. You can. What we get ready to do right now, what we always do when we end this thing before we get back into work mode, is we're going to breathe this thing out. Make sure our mind is ready. Make sure we're feeling the very best that we can and make it through the rest of this day. I always enjoy talking to you. Make sure you join us again next Tuesday. We'll be here, same place. You can find us. All right? Let's do some breath work. Inhale to the count of 4. Hold that a few seconds. Exhale. Hold that a few seconds. Inhale again. Hold a few seconds. Exhale. And hold that a few seconds. Inhale one more time. Hold a few seconds. And exhale. Yeah. And don't you feel great? I feel great. I appreciate you guys. And if nobody gave you a smile today, if nobody smiled today, you just close your eyes and give yourself a big smile and see how that feels for you. All right? Y'all be great out here. That's what we do. One love, y'all.